Bring them back from Iraq! Bring the troops home now! Alive! Get the war!
Well, it started as Grandmothers Against the War in November 22nd, 2003. I felt I had to do something, and the first thing I did was have a rally right down the street. Down the next street down Riverside Drive is a beautiful statue of Eleanor Roosevelt. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And so I held a rally there. I emailed everybody I knew and called everybody I knew. And I think I went to one or two Democratic clubs and made an announcement. And 50 people or so showed up, including some politicians. So that was great, but then what am I going to do next? I have to do something. I have to keep this going. So I decided to try to have a vigil. And everybody said, "You're crazy, it's winter. Nobody will come." And I was very discouraged after I had a meeting, and that's when they all told me that. But one friend didn't say anything, and I called her that night, and she said, "I think we could do it." So the two of us started the vigil, just the two of us, on January 14, 2004. And it was probably the coldest day in 10 years. I mean it. I mean, this is nothing compared to that day. We had double gloves, we had hand warmers that didn't help, and one of us would keep running into the building and, try to warm up a little, and we were scared because being against the war was not a popular position then, And we thought somebody's going to push us around, and we're going to get heckled and insulted. So we were very scared, and we had two homemade signs saying "Grandmothers Against the War." And we stood there shivering and quaking from cold and fear. Well, nothing happened, though. I don't remember if there might have been one or two hecklers, but we got through it. And that was the beginning, and it just gradually grew and grew and grew.
Really tough to that.
Yeah. See how it's
Bring
grown.
them back from
Come here
Iraq!
every Wednesday?
Bring the troops home now!
We've never missed, no matter what the weather. We've always
Bring them home now.
pouring
Bring
rain
them back from Iraq!
We're always
Bring
here.
the troops
Or at least
home
some of us are.
now! Alive!
I think that one might say that I have been politically active for a while. Going back to '67 and our war in Vietnam, I was extremely active down there. I believe that protesting is a major way to make one's views and one's voice heard. Some people think it's ridiculous to waste your time and energy. They're also embarrassed to protest. I think we've got to.
Proud to create for them. We're creating peace here today. We're creating a new America here today. Let's move forward. Contact America. Do this. Create communities of peace. It's up to us. We're the peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Let's create a new America. Thank you.
I actually started at the age of 15 sympathy strikes with the South, and I sat in at Woolworth for desegregation. This administration has totally subverted the Constitution. Then when we planned the action at the recruiting station, it was a coalition of groups that planned the action, and then we called ourselves the Granny Peace Brigade. That was the arrest at Times Square when 18 of us went to enlist.
Tried to get the recruitment center to open up and let us volunteer so that we could get 18 men or women back from Iraq where they've got their families and such to take care of. We'll go over there.
So we stood in front legally and were arrested when we didn't leave, but we knew we were there legally. And so we were arrested and held for about, I think, 5 hours or 6 hours, and then appeared in court about 3 times, and then went to trial and had a 6-day trial. It was insane. It was absolutely insane to have a 6-day trial when we hadn't even closed down the center. The center was closed. And the outcome of the 6-day trial was that we were acquitted of all charges, and the police had lied, and we were not blocking any entrance or disrupting anything, which we knew at the time, which is why we refused to leave.
Been politically active since the 60s. I grew up out in LA, and I went up to Berkeley during the Vietnam War and spent a lot of time on that. And I believe the difference between this war and the Vietnam War is, you know, we were sitting in our houses and we would see the dead and the names of the dead, and we'd get up out of our chairs and just say, this can't stand. But here we've got this thing all nice and sanitized. You know, you don't see much of the truth of what's happening with our troops. You don't see the president at funerals. You don't see any of the congressmen at funerals.
There's been no functioning media, means that the news hasn't been getting out, and kids watch television and they're robotized, don't know that what they're hearing are lies or propaganda. And we had a very active functioning press in the 60s. There was an opposition. So I hope that young people get on board, because this is their future. It really is.
Politically active all my life since I was 17 years old. And when I was in high school, I joined the Young Communist League. I remember, and you talk about ignorant, I remember I attended an anti-Nazi demonstration way back, and this was in 1936, in Madison Square Garden. And the United States, let the Nazis have a big demonstration inside in Madison Square Garden. It was an old Madison Square Garden. And they had a placard, they had a fascist sign as big as this building, you know, with a swastika. And we were demonstrating outside, and we were being pushed around by the police. We were the anti-Nazis, the communists and some other people. And I said, where are all the Jews that should be, Jewish people should be demonstrating? People are passive. People don't care. People don't want to see the signs of what can happen. And I said, where are the Jews there? Oh, I didn't know. I said, what, did I have a pipeline to Germany that I knew what Hitler was going to do? No.
With all that government spending to fight a war that's unending, we're going for broke. This isn't a joke. No more war. The Bush gang keeps on lying. They want to stay the course, but the boys and girls are dying, and they show no remorse. Oh, we may be a gaggle of grannies, but we got off of our fannies.